Thank you. Give me a second, I'll give my cheat notes. Well, there's really not much I can say. Between the praise team and Evangelist Cross, we've already had a Black History lesson today. A lot of the things she said were in my notes. But we're going to go on anyway. Thank you to each and every one of you for this opportunity to be able to stand before you to highlight a couple of historical points in our African American history. Starting in the 1800s, you guys, for you who don't know, I'm a big sports fan. So I went and I located some information. In the 1800s, 2 African American teams participated in a baseball game in New York. That transformation started what is known as the Negro Leagues of baseball. In the Negro Leagues, there were many African Americans who did not have the rights to play in the major leagues. Such stars as Satchel Paige, Cool Papa Bell, Josh Gibson, who some of them went on to play in the major leagues. But they too were professionals and were just as good as white athletes. In 1947, Jackie Robinson crossed the color line and became the first African American to participate in Major League Baseball. Jackie was signed by the Brooklyn Dodgers. Jackie faced many oppositions, not only with the opposite team, but with those on his team. Many of the whites on his team did not want Jackie to be on the team. But through Jackie's perseverance, he continued to show them that he was just as good as they were. In the 1950s, Earl Lloyd, nicknamed Big Cat, became the first African American to participate in the National Basketball Association. Earl Lloyd went on to play over 506 games and 9 seasons in the NBA. Earl Lloyd currently, if I'm not mistaken, resides in Detroit, Michigan. In 1955, a 14-year-old boy from Chicago named Emmett Till traveled down to Mississippi, where he was accused of flirting with a white woman. Emmett went back to his home, where he was kidnapped by 2 white men and was beaten and shot to death. The 2 white men were put on trial and they were found innocent of the charges. In 1955, where it was a Montgomery bus boycott, a tired Rosa Parks, after a long day of work, got on the bus, refused to give up her seat to a white man. She was arrested, which sparked a year-long bus boycott in Montgomery, Alabama. 1957, the Little Rock Nine. 9 African Americans entered Little Rock Central High School. They were the first blacks to enter this school. They were not wanted. They faced much hatred. They were beat, they were spat on, but they kept their heads high and they proceeded to get their education. 1960, Ruby Bridges, a 5-year-old girl, was the first to attend William Frantz Elementary School in New Orleans, Louisiana. And can you imagine being 5 years old, kindergarten, as you walk through all these massive people who are opposing you being there, as they yell at you threats. One white lady had a doll in which was placed in a coffin to represent Ruby's death. But Ruby did not let that bother her. She kept going with her head held high. 1965, Alex Haley, he wrote the book Malcolm X. Malcolm X was a story about a street hustler turned into a speaker for the Nation of Islam. He went on to also publish a book in 1976, Roots, in which it chronicled the story of a slave, Kunta Kinte, as he traveled to this country and was in slavery and eventually reached his freedom. As we move on to 1997, Violet Palmer. Violet Palmer was the first African American lady to officiate in the NBA. And which brings us to 2009, with the first black African American president, the 44th president of our country, President Barack Obama. Barack Obama served 2 years and then was re-elected to a second term. Many people have come before us. They have paved the way for us. Let's not forget those who have died for us and the rights that we have. Dr. King had a dream that we would not be judged by the color of our skin, but the content of our character. Let's not let the hard work of our forefathers be in vain. Thank you. sorry, one thing I totally forgot. It was just told to me today that Miss Gail Williams was in the Birmingham Museum. Her photo can be found in the Birmingham Museum, where she was, along with Dr. King and others, as one of the first women in line as the Voter Rights Act was passed. Thank you.